Hey everybody, welcome back. David Eon and the Stunning Miss Lady Pop Hunter here with another discussion for you action figure aficionados. Now, one of the things that I'm always talking about on this channel is that yes, you can afford the vintage action figures. And in a moment, we're going to be taking a look at several dozen 80s action figure properties that you can still get mint on card for a lot less than you think, like around the $50 price point, sometimes cheaper, sometimes a hair more, because it's the 80s. We got to go up a little bit on a couple of things.
Yeah.
The last one we did was on the 1990s, and that went over really well. People really liked that, and I had demonstrated even in that video where modern equivalents of the same action figure line actually cost more than the vintage ones, like Earthworm Jim, for example, or Playmates Ronin Warriors. The new ones cost much more than the originals. The Inspector Gadget, too.
Yeah.
The originals are much cheaper. So we're going to take a look at 80s action figures. I'm going to show you a bunch of images so you can get a feel for it. And, you know, if you're into that sort of thing and you want to check it out, because it's inspiring for a lot of people. A lot of people who watched the 90s video were like, wow, those are that cheap. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I want to go find those now.
I did. And I actually bought a set of the Shadow. I got everything.
Kenner's the Shadow.
Yeah. And he showed it. I got everything except for two. And that's two vehicles. And for everything I got was under $100.
Yeah, for like,
and it's like
nine figures and two
vehicles.
Mint on the card.
Yeah.
So I mean that's really significant, and that's what we're doing here today. Now, this is not an exhaustive list.
Yeah.
It's possible that I could miss some things. So if you know of something that I overlooked, tell us in the comment section. And in the 90s video, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video if you never saw it. In the 90s video, I said the same thing, and I was reminded about a couple of things. I'll show them real quick. One is the Tick from Bandai, which was made in 1994. For example, this entire set here, I think, sold for like $280 on eBay, and that's with the shipping.
Okay.
And the most expensive one is the 12-inch talking one there. This is a really inexpensive line that you can still find easily and cheaply. And the other one that a lot of people brought up, of course, was the Jim Lee Wildcats.
We started watching that cartoon.
It's hard to watch.
Well, we only saw one episode so far. We're going to get back to it because we are watching other things. But, you know, I'll usually watch one episode to see if it's something I'm interested in. And I guess I need to just keep watching. Yeah,
and this is by Playmates, 95. This lot with shipping sold for less than $100.
Oh, wow.
And any of those image figure lines, like I know they did Savage Dragon or Ultraverse figures and stuff like that from the 90s, they are really inexpensive still. You can get them now. You can buy them less than the original retail. So just throwing those out. But now we'll go ahead and start jumping into some 80s action figure properties. And we're going to start off with Terrahawks. And this is made by Bandai in 1983. And of course, Matchbox made the Thunderbirds and other figures from the Jerry Anderson action figure series in the 90s. But in the 80s, it was Bandai. And this is the Bandai Terrahawks. It's actually a fun show. I like the Terrahawks. But you can typically pick these up for around $50.
Oh, wow.
$50 a piece. Now, this is one I know you like.
I have that.
She has the series. This is Bible Greats. It was done in, I believe, 87, 86 or 87.
Is a couple of waves in there. And it starts, I think, at like 82 or 83, and it goes up to like the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's some slight changes as it goes.
But these are Mego-like. So they are using like Mego bodies on the card. And these figures will typically run you $20, $30. They're not expensive at all, except for the 2-packs. The 2-packs can get expensive, like they have Jonah and the Whale, for example. And that can get expensive, or something like that, David and Goliath. But the Goliath is actually like a 12-inch Mego figure. It's huge. But these figures don't go for a lot.
Yeah.
Coleco made action figures of Cabbage Patch figures, if you're into that, in 1984. And these will typically run around $20, $25 a piece, mint in the box. And it's a little 5 points articulation figure. Starcom from Coleco also.
You have some stuff.
Yeah, I have a couple of Starcom, and these are little 2-inch 5 points figures. I think are they 5? Yeah, they're about 2 inches tall. They're short. And there's vehicle assortments as well. Vehicle sets can get expensive, but the carded Starcom figures, again, these are from 1986. You won't pay more than $50 for one. Dapole. Now this one threw me because I thought these would be more. Dapole Doctor Who, and they made the Doctor Who series in 1987. You can find these for less than $50 a piece. Easily. You'll pay $25 to $50 a piece for them, except for the play sets. The play sets, they have a TARDIS play set that comes with 2 figures and stuff like that. Those can get pricey, but the individual carded figures, they never took off. And Doctor Who's a big property.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Ertl, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. They made action figures, and these are like 3 3/4 inch scale figures, I believe. And they were done in 1984. Typically, these will run you $20 to $30 a piece. Ertl also made a series called Superstars, and there you see Rocky, and it's this little like 3-inch die-cast action figure. It's weird. And they also did other characters, like they did Richard Petty, they did Burt Reynolds as from Smokey and the Bandit, stuff like that. You shouldn't be, and I know if you look on eBay, and don't let this throw you, for all of these, you'll see buy it nows, and they'll have crazy prices. But if you catch it on auctions, you're not going to pay more than $50 for any of these Ertl figures, and that goes for a lot of these other toy lines as well. Catch them on bids, and you'll be surprised how cheap they are. Here's a good one from Ertl, Wrangler action figures, and these are in 3 3/4 inch, and they're basically just non-proprietary, like Western style figures based on the jeans. And you see these carded figures with the guy's got a little dog, and this guy's got like a little campfire and an axe and a canteen, and they had vehicle sets, and they had figures that came with horses and all sorts of things, and they're jointed like a G.I. Joe, like an raw G.I. Joe. $25 you probably pay for this. No more than $50. Fisher-Price Adventure People, one of my favorite lines. I love these. Oh, did I mention that the Wranglers was from 1983?
No, but
I don't
you just
remember.
did.
Okay. But Fisher-Price Adventure People was made through to the middle of the 80s, till about 85-ish. But they started making them in the 70s, and they ran through into the 80s. And you can find carded figures. They also had a slim card on a small hang tab. They had 3-packs. The 3-packs can get real expensive, and vehicle sets can get expensive, but individual carded figures, you'll probably pay $30 to $50.
Okay.
Some might go higher, and it depends on what it is. Like, I think Brainoid can be a couple $100, you know, or Clawtron. There's a certain figures that are real short runs that are expensive. Most of the average figures, 30 to 50-ish. Galoob, the Defenders of the Earth. You have some of those.
I have all but one.
Who are you missing?
Mandrake.
Mandrake,
it
the
cannot
magician.
find, and I wonder, did they even make him? Because I can never find him. But yeah, those aren't expensive. I mean, their prices are all over the place, though.
Yeah, and that's why you got to catch them on bids if you can, or buy them as a lot. These were released by Galoob in '85, based on the cartoon show, which we watched the whole show.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Once you warm up to it, it actually isn't bad. At first, it seemed kind of lame.
Look for the Defenders of the Earth alcohol episode, and you'll be hooked, because they had a PSA episode. It is the funniest after-school cartoon ever done.
They have one on drugs, too.
It wasn't as good. But the kid was doing lines. But
But it was a fun cartoon. It's on Tubi, so it's free. If you have Tubi, you can watch it. And like I said, the first few episodes, you're like, what? But if you keep watching it,
it sinks in.
Yeah, it kind of grows on you, and then you start to like it. It's one of those kind of shows.
So 1985 Galoob, and typically these are around $50.
They also have vehicles that are...
The vehicles are expensive. Yeah, the vehicles are tough.
Yeah.
Here's one you wouldn't see coming. Galoob's Golden Girls from 1984, which are obviously a take on She-Ra. But Galoob made the figures to look more like the Masters of the Universe females, as opposed to what She-Ra did they made like dollies out of them, and
nobody made Barbies.
Nobody liked that.
Yeah.
They wanted Teela and Evelyn style. I think if She-Ra made them like that, they would have been more popular.
Yeah.
But that's what these look like, and they have rooted hair. The box is generic, but on bids you can usually get these 50 to 75-ish. Galoob's Star Trek: The Next Generation from 1988. Not a popular line. It's photo cards, as you can see. This particular lot, and I think this is the whole set of figures, sold for $200, and that's with shipping. They just never took off. And I think that
10 figures.
Yeah, 10 figures for $200. I'll pay $200 for 10 of them on really decent cards.
Star Trek?
Yeah, Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's classic television.
I guess.
Hasbro's Air Raiders.
That looks good. I don't know about that one, that Battle Squad, but...
Yeah, and they sold them in squad packs. So you could buy a pack, and they're like little 2-inch figures, but, you can buy them in 5-packs. And the vehicles, like, example, this particular lot sold for $120 with the shipping. These were made in 1987, and even vehicles, carded action figures and vehicle sets, they're not expensive. They're still pretty cheap. The next one, and this looks like a knockoff, but it's not. This is actually Hasbro. Hasbro had Ninja Warriors. And these were produced in 1986. They look like Remco knockoff action figures. The Remcos can get expensive. He-Man style bodies, sort of. And again, you can usually find these for around the $50 range. Ideal, the Chipmunks, and that is an action figure, mixed media action figure, 5 points of articulation figure with removable clothing.
You have that.
I have a few of those. Yeah, they're in the 1/18th scale range.
Okay.
And they do have Dave also, but Dave comes with the van. Play sets are usually on bids. You can get play sets of vehicles under $100, and the figures around 25 ish, 20 to 25 on the card. Hard to find them without yellowing bubbles, though. But 1983 Ideal. Kenner. Beetlejuice. 1989. 1989. And that's the entire set of figures. There's some vehicles and one play set, which is like a grave.
Yeah.
But this entire lot sold for $450.
I see those a lot, Beetlejuice, when we go to shows.
Yeah.
It's always like one or two people or dealers that have some. I never looked at it to buy, but I do see it, out and about.
And this is classic. This is classic. That's an iconic 80s film. So again, you wouldn't pay more than $50 a piece.
I used to watch the cartoon. I never saw the movie. But I used to watch the cartoon.
And that's what this is based on. I believe
cartoon?
It's the cartoon series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How about Care Bears? Yeah, Care Bears. Kenner Care Bears did not just make plush toys. They made 1/18th scale action figures. Yeah. And they made them in 1983. Yeah, she has a set of these. And they come in you see there's a couple of different box styles there.
They come in 3 different box styles. So you have that big one that comes with an accessory.
Yeah.
And then that smaller, skinnier one. And then you have one that has like a triangle shape. And the skinny one and the triangle shaped one has no accessories.
And you see there's figurines there as well.
Yeah.
But these are, you can get these for less than $50 a piece, easily.
even the play sets are not that expensive, because I've gotten a few I don't know if you call them play sets, but because they do have the one cloud
car.
No, the cloud car is a vehicle.
Yeah.
They got that heart thing, cloud heart. It's like I guess where they live. You can't hardly ever find that, but like the cloud car and something else, I can't remember. I have it. They're fairly cheap. They're under $50.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's a representation of the triangle box in the upper left there.
Oh yeah, it is by the professor.
So you see all three box styles and the figurines that came on the card, as well as in this particular picture.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's 50 would be the top. I mean, what do they range? 30 to 50-ish, I think.
Not even that much. It depends on who you get. But they don't even cost that much. Now the only problem is hard. They rarely come up on bids, or they rarely come up for sale.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of buy it nows.
Yeah.
So look for bids or look for lots.
Yeah, they don't come up because it's 13 in the set of 2 packs. With the accessories.
Yes.
It's 13.
The
I
deluxe
think I have
ones.
like 10, and the other 3 just don't come up. So it's hard to find. And then you also have the Care Bear Cousins. Those will pop up a lot.
Oh, that's right. They made Cousins in this range. That's right.
They come up a lot. So, yeah.
Believe it or not, Kenner Chuck Norris.
Really? I thought that was expensive.
The Karate Commandos. And I have the complete line of this. It's 10 action figures in one vehicle. And if you catch them on bids, with a couple of exceptions, and this is not representative of the entire line, but the orange vested Chuck Norris for some reason, and the red Ninja can get expensive. The rest of them, you can, if you catch them on bids, you can get them for under $50 or around that much. So at 1986 Kenner's Karate Commandos, this never took off the way that Rambo's Force of Freedom figures did from Coleco. Those can be very expensive.
Yeah.
And this is a underrated line in my opinion. I think they look good. I like the card art, and I like that it's 10 figures in one vehicle and you're done.
Yeah.
So you could target one a month, and you at the end of the year you could have a whole set.
And it's an even number, so when you're trying to put it on the shelf,
display,
you don't have that odd man out.
Kenner's RoboCop, and I believe this is based on the cartoon show. Vehicles can be expensive, and this is from 1988, but the carded figures, they never took off. They're pretty cheap. They're inexpensive, just like on the 90s video I showed a lot of Terminator action figures and Aliens versus Predator and stuff. They're still relatively inexpensive. So are these. You can get these for less than $50 easily. Now this one, I'm just coming under the wire because I think these were Christmas '89 and printed as 1990 properties.
Okay.
So this is right on the border there. And that's Kenner Shadow Strikers. Kenner's Shadow Strikers, and it's this figure that turns, he's translucent, and he gets colorized by exposure to, I think it's heat or light, makes him change color. And it's this little like 2 or 3 inch figure, and he comes with this transparent vehicle, and they're all vehicle sets. It's neat, but they're cheap. They're real cheap. It's crazy how inexpensive these are.
Look at the caution. Not recommended for children who still put objects in their mouths.
Yeah, I know adults who still put things in their mouths, okay? But
so even if you're 5, you still got to put something in your mouth. This ain't for you.
Yeah, because it's little parts. But I think this is a cool looking toy. But usually they 20 to 30 range in the box. It's crazy. Kenner Sky Commanders, more tiny figures, but they have, and these are zip lines.
Okay.
That's what those toolkits are. And you see they have all this cord and these little things, so you hook it up on your door and you hook the other one up across the room on the windowsill or something, and you zip them around the bedroom. It's an interesting concept. These were produced in 1987. You'll pay 20 to 50 a piece for these on the card.
You can hang that up around on your ceiling.
Oh, the zip line figures, if you had them loose? Yeah, loose. Think about how cheap this stuff is loose. If on the card, these are the prices I'm talking about. So just throw that out there. Kenner, and not exactly action figures, but they are jointed like one. And I wanted to show these for some of you who are into this. Made in early 80s. I think this particular run is from 82. The strawberry shortcakes, with the exception of strawberry shortcake herself,
yeah, she expensive.
You'll pay 50 or less for these, provided they're the right box type. Because every year they made them, they changed them. So they'll produce it. The box will be different. The window will be on the left instead of the right. They'll have a different dress.
Yeah, they got a different accessory.
Yeah, something like that. There's a set. There's a set where they're in beds. They're packaged in a little bed.
Because they had a slumber party.
Slumber party editions, yeah.
And then you got the dance school, because I got one with the dance school.
Or the front window box ones.
Yeah.
But so they have different lines, but they're all early 80s, and certain lines $50 or less. And so if you're into that, it's a great alternative. And they look nice. They're colorful.
You should get the Brazilian one.
Those, was that the taco one? What the hell was her name? I forget.
No, it looks like this. It came out, I think, in the 90s, but it's from Brazil.
Yeah.
And they can be $200-300.
Yeah.
For some reason, it just got weird. The price got really weird. So I don't know.
Well, South America had short runs. You see that a lot with like a raw G.I. Joe from South America. Could be crazy, the Argentinian ones and stuff.
Yeah.
But she's got a set of these, and and lots. You can find them in lots really cheap. Here's one that'll throw you: Knickerbocker Annie, based on the film, the musical, 1982. I think it's hilarious how gigantic Annie is in comparison to the other figures.
Yeah.
Because they're all supposed to be in the same scale, but she's like the giant midget from Thor. But $15 a piece mint in the box, roughly. And then there's a vehicle and a playset that are just as cheap.
Okay.
It never took off.
I've seen that a lot, like the whole set on Macari. Somebody had everything, and it was really cheap, but I wasn't interested.
Yeah. I mean, most people probably aren't, but I'm just trying to show some variety.
Right.
Knickerbocker again.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I really love this set. This is also from 1982. I have this set, and this is the complete set. They only ever made 4. They are 12th scale Sesame Street action figures. 4 points of articulation, mixed media. You'll probably pay about 50 a piece for them. It just never caught on. And they're really hard to find.
Yeah.
These are hard to find in the box. But I think they're fantastic. I've got a set of these. Knickerbockers, Snoopy, and Belle. And these are also from about 82. I know people get real confused with Peanuts properties because they always think, oh, this is from 1958. This is from 1964. Those are copyrights. It's not the manufacturing date. These were made in 82. I think these are the 8-inch ones. They only made Snoopy and Belle, their brother and sister, and they sold separate outfits, and they sold a trunk. But, I mean, these are $25 a piece all day.
Yeah.
And they also made smaller ones that are like 5 inches. These are really tough to find, but again, you'll pay less than $50 for one of these mint in the box. And there's only 3 in the set for the 5-inch Knickerbocker Snoopies. LJN, Photon. This was made in 1986. There was supposed to be 3 action figure sets. They only one ever made it to stores.
Oh, no.
And that's this one. I have this set. It's based on a live action Saturday morning show to go with the toy line, because it was helmets and guns and harnesses. It's laser tag.
Yeah.
And they did laser tag in the show. And these were action figures based on that live action show. This 2-pack, 50 to 75.
Oh, okay.
And the prototypes, there's a handful of like samples of the other 2 figure sets that have gotten out. They're crazy expensive, but this you can find cheap. Max FX Freddy, and that is a stuntman named Max, and his Freddy costume made by Matchbox in 1989. There was supposed to be several. This was going to be a series because they had an Aliens one with Max and they had a Frankenstein with Max. But after this one, all the Congress and parents groups got all over Matchbox and they had to cancel the series.
Why?
Promoting horror icons to children, and it's like and Matchbox tried because it's not Freddy, it's Max wearing a Freddy costume.
Yeah.
They tried, but you can still pick this set up for like $50.
Oh, wow.
Matchbox Parasites, trying to tie in with Transformers.
Okay.
Trying to get on the Transformers / GoBots bandwagon from Matchbox. Only instead of the vehicle transforming, the luggage does. Because that's what that is. Those action figures, they fold up into this little cube or this little rectangle, and they fit inside the vehicles.
Oh, okay, because all I'm seeing is vehicles.
Yeah, the vehicle opens up like a clamshell.
Okay.
And you fold that figure up and you put them in there.
Wow, that's a tiny figure then.
the 25 to 50 range for these, and I think this is the whole set here. 1985 Matchbox.
Oh, wow.
Here's one that threw me. Matchbox's Pee-wee Herman's action figures from 1988. And you see representation. They did a bunch of those figures, and they also have the play set, and they have a Pee-wee with a bike 2-pack, some other things like that. These are still amazingly inexpensive.
Okay.
How cheap these action figures are. Now the deluxe dolls, and I have 2 Pee-wee dolls myself. The pull string talkers and stuff can get real expensive, especially obscure characters like Billy Bully and Patiri and stuff like that can get expensive, but the figures themselves are not. Matchbox again, surprise, Robotech in 1985-ish, and I think who was it? Harmony Gold also made the exact same figures, and it looks like the same card, but it says Harmony Gold, I think, instead of Matchbox. For $50 a piece, mostly.
I see that a lot when we go to shows, Robotech. I see that everywhere.
And that's an iconic show. Robotech is still around.
Oh, is it?
And I'm like, this, people just don't seem to care about these. As well as the 12-inch doll. I think the 12-inch figures sell for less than the carded ones.
That don't look like that boy. He got an afro.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look very much like the character, but what are you going to do?
Okay.
Mattel's Captain Power. Very underrated, very innovative line with probably one of the best play sets ever made. Because you can interact with it. The vehicles can interact with each other because you could. It had infrared that you could shoot, and with the live action show, because the show could shoot at your vehicles while you watched it. And this was made in 1987, and again, these figures will sell for less than $50 a piece. Mattel's Computer Warriors, little 2-inch figure in a vehicle. A transforming vehicle. This one is disguised inside of a Pepsi can. And these were made in 1989. And again, Computer Warrior sets will typically sell on bids for less than $50 or around $50. Mattel's New Adventures of He-Man, 1989. Except for He-Man and Skeletor.
Yeah.
And in particular, if they have the little comic behind them, like these two have the comic in the picture, will sell 50 to 75 ish for most of the figures. Some a little less. He-Man and Skeletor for some reason or more. Certain play sets or vehicles can get stupid expensive, but a lot of these figures never took off.
I tried watching that cartoon. I couldn't do it.
No, the cartoon wasn't very good.
No.
The modern equivalents look better, but they cost more than these. If you were to go to buy them from the old, Mattel, not Ultimates, what were they? Matty Club or Super
Club.
7 and stuff.
Chips.
Migos 1980 chips. And condition can vary. If you got a real fantastic condition carded figure, you know, sky's the limit sometimes. These 3 3/4 inch figures will typically sell around 50 a piece on bids. I don't think that's a bad deal at all. Mego also Dukes of Hazzard from the same time period. Although, again, really exceptional cards can command more. Like, I don't think Roscoe's going to sell for a lot because his arm fell off there.
That's the 3 3/4 inch.
Yeah, these are the 3
though.
3/4 inch. This particular set sold for 150 on bids. And again, this is 1980, as well as the full size Migos, the 8 inch. This set sold for 125. And again, like I said, condition counts. You see it's kind of yellowed. There's some tearing on it. But if you were really into it, of course, if it's really immaculate, you're going to pay more. But otherwise, you can find these cheap.
Yeah.
Migos Eagle Force from 1981. Little, like, 3 inch, 2.5 inch die-cast metal action figures on these red cards. It was their answer to G.I. Joe.
That's what I was going to ask. They look like they want to be G.I. Joe.
Yeah, but they're short and they're die-cast. And the cards are kind of generic except for the little picture.
Yeah.
But you can get these for less than 50 a piece. Mego again, the Love Boat, 1981. Who the hell wanted Love Boat figures? Nowadays, that makes sense because adult collectors are looking for weird stuff like that. But what little kid wanted to play with Captain Stubing and Isaac? You know? And there was a play set. And the play set is basically a big cardboard cutout, but it's expensive.
Is it a ship?
Yeah. It's a cutout of a cruise ship. With decks and stuff, you could put it behind your flag.
They could have put together a plastic ship and sell it.
We're talking about Mego. Mego was as cheap in the 70s and 80s as they are now. But again, you could find these figures for around less than $50 a piece, mostly.
Oh.
Here's a good one. This is Mego Bodies.
Yeah.
This is when Mego was hurting, 1983, because you know Marty got sent to jail.
Yeah.
This was made by Multi Toys using Mego style bodies. And that's Menudo. And they come same box, I think, with different outfits. But you're talking 10 to 25 a piece for these.
Wow, 10.
Yeah.
I don't remember
on bids
them that well.
Yeah, they had a Saturday morning live action
But
show.
weren't they a singing group?
They were a singing group.
I don't remember them that well.
You remember they existed. I mean, look at the retail price that was on it already. $1.79. But
it didn't
you
go
can still
up much.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They are so it's incredibly cheap if you're into that. Some people are just really into the Mego style of figure and they might think that's cool. Or they might remember watching the show. Nyland, Men of Steel, 1989. And I think they only made like 3 figures, but it's basically something like this. You know, where you see here a firefighter with some equipment. 20 to 25 range.
That look like those Derm figures you have.
Yeah. Something like that. Very underrated toy line, in my opinion, Playmobil. I like Playmobil. And the 80s figures, boxed examples, you can find for 50 or less. It's incredible how inexpensive old Playmobil systems are, especially in comparison to the modern ones. But the modern ones with big franchises like they do in like Knight Rider and stuff now, or the A-Team and things like that, they're expensive.
Yeah.
They cost more than the original 80s and 70s ones. But you can find even unplayed with condition boxed sets really cheap. And they are sturdy, fun toys. I had these when I was a kid. Remco's The Mighty Crusaders, 1984. These never really took off. Hard to find them without yellowing blisters. That's a common problem with especially Remco and LJN. Around $50 a piece.
What's that, a Christian thing? Mighty
Crusaders, I think those are linked with Archie Comics.
Oh, okay.
Actually. Remco's Sergeant Rock, Here's a set that figures that everybody's completely forgotten about.
I never saw that
official
before.
DC action figures, 1982. Remco wanted to say, hey, what can we legally do to kind of look like G.I. Joe? Let's do Sergeant Rock. You can get these average around 25 a piece on the card.
Wow.
Yeah, from
They
all the way
look
from
like
82.
the comic book too.
Yeah.
Especially that pitch up there at the top. The tough action soldier.
Free dog tag.
Yeah.
Or if you want something more to scale for G.I. Joe, Remco U.S. Forces, the Defenders of Peace. And these were done in 89. And they did incarnations of this off and on in the 80s. Something you might find something similar.
Mm-hmm.
These will run you around 30, 35 a piece on the card. Not action figures, but noteworthy.
Okay.
The Smurfs. Because they are iconic of the 80s.
You just like the Smurfs.
I love the Smurfs. Boxed, unplayed with boxed and carded examples, probably around 25 a piece.
Oh, wow.
It's not that much, surprisingly. And again, I'm a big fan of the Smurfs. I know they're not action figures, but I think they're noteworthy because they tie into the time period so well.
Mm.
And more to the point of figurines as well. Alf figurines like this that came carded, really, really cheap. I mean, there's other examples. Soma, Pirates. I have a complete set of these.
Yeah.
This is a later edition. You see, that one says 1991, made by Soma. The original set was made in 85, and it says Woolworths on it instead of Soma, but they are made by Soma. And even the 80s versions are about $50 a piece.
Okay.
The 91 versions are cheaper, but it's an inexpensive alternative mixed media G.I. Joe, not G.I. Joe, but kind of Remco-ish bodies. They also did Robin Hood, stuff like that, non-proprietary junk. Super Dino monsters. There's like a 3 3/4 inch, which is the carded one here, and you see all they did was strap it to the card. And then there's a 5-inch one that are Ultra Dino monsters that came in a display box countertop. These were done in the 80s. I know people think they're 90s. They're not. They were done in the 80s because I had these in the 80s. And they're jointed across the waist. They twist left and right, and that's it.
That's it?
That's it. And they are knockoffs of like Popey Ultraman kaiju figures. But they are cheap, and I know if you go on eBay you'll see probably a handful. They're hard to find. Buy it now's for like $50, but you catch them on bids and you can get them for half that much.
Okay.
Speaking of getting things cheaper on bids, this is Tommy's Motor Mates, and these were done in 1982, and it's this little like 2-inch action figure that goes on this little boat apparatus that you put together, and it does work in your bathtub. And these are very, very hard to find. They are very rare and very cheap. I know if you look on eBay you might see one or two for like $80 $100. Buy it now. You catch this on bids, you'll pay like $10. I'm not kidding. You'll pay like $10 or less.
Oh, wow.
So if that strikes your fancy, watch for it on bids. Also from Tommy, the Zoids. Boxed Zoids, with the exception of the larger ones or ones that were made expressly for the Japanese market, but regular small packaged Zoids are not that expensive. And,
I see those a lot at shows.
and these were made in 85.
Okay.
So it's, again, not exactly an action figure, but iconic of the time period. Legions of Power from Tonka. Tonka made Legions of Power. It's a little short, another 2-inch figure. I know you can't see the figure very well in there. With a vehicle set. 1986. Vehicle sets are 50-ish. And that's sealed.
Yeah.
This is not expensive. Tonka again, and this is kind of Tonka's attempt at Fisher-Price Adventure People. It's the same concept: 5 points articulation, 18th scale, or 3 3/4 inch, with a vehicle. You see a bell system truck there, and this is die-cast. This set will probably run you $50. And they made these in like 82, and they have several vehicle sets like this. Buddy L also made some sets like this. They're very hard to find, but no more expensive than that, even though they're rare. Tonka also made Pound Puppy action figures in 3 3/4 inch varieties in 1986, and they're hard to find still in the original package, but they are really cheap. They are not expensive at all. It's like the Care Bears figures.
Yeah.
Surprise, Tonka Rock Lords. Now, some of them can get expensive, and larger vehicles, because they have Rock Lord vehicles. I mean, you got a rock that turns into a vehicle for rocks that turn into people to drive, I guess. But Rock Lords will run you $50 to $75 on the card on bids. Most of them. It's a great alternative. 1986, and I like Rock Lords. I've got a bunch of them. Spiral Zone by Tonka. This can get weird. On bids, most of them you can catch them around $50. And this is a tall figure. I think this is like 8 inches. But Spiral Zone, it never took off. Sometimes it can get up there, but usually 50-ish, maybe up to 70, 75, and still in the box. Tonka's Supernaturals from 1987, 50 to 75 range. These never took. This is like Tonka's trying to cash in on Visionaries. Visionaries can get expensive.
Yeah.
Kenner's Visionaries. Tonka just said, we'll make a 5 points articulation figure, and instead of giving him a shield, we'll just make the front of his body hologram. And that's why you can't see what they look like in the picture, because it's kind of hard to capture that in a photo.
Yeah.
But they're kind of neat. I like these. 50 to 75-ish for most of them. Toy Biz Batman 1989, before they took away the license because Toy Biz wasn't doing a good job and they gave it to Kenner. 1989 Batman the movie action figures, less than $50. Vehicles can get expensive, but not these figures. Also from Toy Biz, who remembers that they had a superhero line? Anybody? Everybody remembers Secret Wars and Superpowers, and those can get very expensive. But this DC Toy Biz superheroes figures from 1989 that are no badly made, not as bad as some of the Superpowers figures, for example, that kind of look like them to some degree, are really inexpensive.
No Batman and Superman.
No, not in this lot.
Oh.
But of course, you can just go ahead and get your 89 Batman because it's the
Throw
same
it in
company.
there.
Yeah, just mix it in. But I'm surprised how cheap these still are. Never took off. TriStar's MASH. TriStar's
In the TV
MASH.
show?
Yeah. They made a series of action figures in 1982, right about the same time that a Raw G.I. Joe first came out. And they're jointed exactly the same way. I guess they figured, oh, well, yeah, we can piggyback a Raw's G.I. Joe by giving them a medical unit. MASH! Everybody loves MASH. Yeah, everybody who's like an adult, because it was an iconic show. It's a fantastic show.
Yeah, I used to watch MASH.
But kids, I don't know if little kids wanted to play with MASH action figures.
I don't think kids watch MASH.
The figures themselves you can still get for less than $50 a piece, mint on the card. Vehicle sets with the figures, those can get up there. And the play set is very expensive. They have a boxed play set of the entire 4077. But carded figures, not so much. Another one, this is We Win's Heroes of the Kingdom. Also made in when? Oh, these are made like around 84, I think. Mego style bodies again. And again, $25 to $50 a piece for the figures. The 2-packs can get expensive, just like with the other set.
Yeah, I don't have any 2-pack.
I like how it comes with a cassette tape, so you can
Not all of them come with a
listen to
cassette tape.
Moses. Listen to Moses get mad at the Israelites.
Smashing
Smash the
that
tablets.
stone tablet.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done with you guys. Now, this is one I'd like to get myself because I used to watch this show when I was a kid. Worlds of Wonder, that's WOW. The same people that made the Teddy Ruxpin talking doll also made 3 3/4 inch action figures in little window boxes in 1985. They'll typically run you around $35 a piece.
I remember the Teddy Ruxpin cartoon. I never saw it, but I remember that there was one.
Yeah, I used to watch it with my sister. I think it was pretty funny if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Oh, well.
So, I don't know. Do you see anything?
I see some stuff that I have that I want to finish completing.
Yeah.
I don't see anything new that I want to get, but I have some of those sets, and the ones that I have are not complete. I'm always close to being complete, and then you get to those last little bit that's hard to find.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this. The one for the 90s, it was a lot of stuff in that one I wanted. But the 80s one, I mean, I like it, you know.
Yeah,
but there's nothing. I do have the complete set of the Dukes of Hazzard,
the 8-inch.
I didn't want the 3 3/4, but you know, I think that's cool.
Yeah, and like I said, it's
that's
just,
Sergeant Rock. Now,
and they're cheap.
Yeah, I probably would want to get that
because she reads that.
Yeah.
So that's what this is about. It's just a wide variety. There might be a couple of things I missed, and if there is, you can tell us in the comment section. You know, help some people out. And of course, there's some things there that I like. The Smurfs, for example, the Super Dino Monsters. I like those. Things like that. The Rock Lords, Supernaturals, the MASH. I actually like the MASH figures. Things like that. The Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Of course, you've never seen before. You didn't even know. Some of them I did because I know you got onesie, twosies of some of them. So I knew.
Because some of them are hard to find. But despite the fact that they're hard to find, again, rare doesn't always mean valuable.
Yeah, it doesn't always mean expensive. Because like you said, with those Care Bears, they're not that expensive. But like I said, I have, it's 13. I have like 10. And those last 3 are just hard to find. They rarely come up for sale. So
hopefully that helped to inspire some of you. I'll put a link to the 90s episode from this series at the end of the video, so you can check that out if you haven't seen it. If you like this, let us know. I can do one also for the 70s, and I can do one for the early 2000s. 60s, I probably can't because there's so few action figures in the 60s. There's almost nothing that you can really make an inexpensive comparison to. So that was the era of action figures first coming into fruition, courtesy of Hasbro's G.I. Joe line. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. We hope you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new. Check out the 90s one if you didn't see it. And if that's it, then what more can we say? But thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.